Hello and welcome to the show. I'm here at the top of Mount Chiliad in GTA 5 for some more downhill chaos. The first vehicle today is the Marshall monster truck. I've driven this a little bit in previous recent videos on GTA 5. I do quite like monster trucks. They're good fun messing around in. We had the Liberator went down here when it first came out on the 360 version, so I thought it was time to have a go with with this particular one. Now, there are a few downsides. Yes, you do have pretty good visibility in the monster truck. You are quite high up, which means you can't quite see what's directly in front, but you have pretty good visibility in general, certainly compared to quite a few vehicles. First attempt, I got things a little bit wrong. I bounced a rock and ended up out a little bit wide. The big downside with this vehicle is, as you can see, it's very, very wide, and this course, especially in a couple of places, is very, very narrow. The monster truck just about fits on the course, but it's not particularly well. So if you end up out just a tiny bit out of shape, such as that, you're gonna have a problem. Yeah, you've got to be very, very careful with where you put this truck, as I can't quite stop it from sliding down the mountain. Eventually, we managed to kind of get it sort of under control. Got to be very careful with this vehicle. Just a fraction wide, and something like this will happen, where you just bounce off a rock that you don't quite want to, or in that case it started to roll the truck over. It didn't actually flip, but you've got to be very careful. You've got to be incredibly careful with the truck, because it's so easy to just be sort of a couple of millimeters wide, and this thing, that's a big issue. The other slightly problem area is the hairpin. Monster truck didn't really like going around the hairpin too much. You had to slow it down quite a lot for that hairpin. It's a big old vehicle, this, so actually trying to sort of throw it around that corner, it doesn't really work so much. You just got to make sure that you slow it down. I mean, the truck's incredibly strong, this thing. It'll take a beating before it actually gives up. I mean, you'll see from here that we're only just doing scratches to it, and the odd bit of glass gets shattered. Yeah, it's a very, very strong vehicle, this one. But the size does prove... The size is really the biggest problem with this. Again, fall off the mountain just by getting a bit out of shape, but we have more than enough power to sort of climb back up. It's also got phenomenal brakes. When things do go wrong, this gets stopped seriously well when it's pointing down a mountain. This time around, I end up taking sort of a little bit of a shortcut by accident. Again, I got it a little bit wrong, bounced across, I found myself on the path. Got to be careful in this second to last corner. There's some nasty bumps in there, and you can get chucked around quite a bit in a monster truck. I mean, we've got plenty of ground clearance in this vehicle. That's not so much of a problem most of the time. As we go for another roll, just running a little bit wide. Yeah, it is possible to cause a problem with it. It doesn't have sort of, as you saw in the run from the police challenge thing, you can actually ground the monster truck out on the middle bit, but it's still got very, very good ground clearance compared to most vehicles. Got very heavy duty suspension and so on, but it still gets bounced about. I think it's perhaps, again, maybe a little bit too soft a suspension in some respect. It does get chucked around whenever you hit something, again at the top of the course, just a little bit wide, and now we're going for a tumble down the mountain, slamming on the brakes, trying to get it under control. You see here how well this thing is getting stopped, having just been completely and utterly out of control. That's stopped on a really steep hill. That's some serious braking power in the monster truck. Yeah, gotta be a bit careful with this thing. Ran a bit wide, got carried away over the course. Managed to jump a whole section there by sheer utter luck. Just dipped a wheel a little bit too wide over the edge of the thing, and then couldn't bring it back. And couldn't quite stop it in time. By the time I figured out I couldn't bring it back, we were going to have an accident. It took a little while. It wasn't really too bad trying to drive this vehicle down here. Turn 1 is one of the harder sections, because you can't really afford to go out wide there. If you end up out wide there on that rock with the vehicle like this, you're probably going to lose control of it. So I had to be kind of slow into turn 1. to make sure that I could get the truck to fit in the very small gap, and that's the downside of having such a large vehicle, such a wide truck. But other than that, things were not too bad. This hairpin coming up was another section that it didn't really like. You had to really slow it down. Luckily, because we have four-wheel steering, we do have a very good turning circle, which means the monster truck can make that hairpin, but we do have to slow it down quite a lot. We can't really chuck it in and handbrake it and hope for the best. It didn't really work so well with the monster truck, so the better option, if you like, was to just slow it down and let the four-wheel steering do the work. Again, these large jumps here were not too much of a problem. You just had to be a little bit careful on the landing that the truck doesn't bounce up too much. I mean, it's going to bounce up some amount, but if it gets a little bit carried away, such as that's when it gets a little bit scary. Got away with it this time. Luckily, it was the back end of the truck that was pointing up into the sky rather than the front. And as you run into the second to last corner across the bumps, don't lose too much momentum with this particular vehicle. Around the final turn, and it's across the line for the monster truck, and we can just about bring it under control-ish. We found ourselves in the ditch again. As you would expect, yeah, the monster truck is very good off-road. It's just a very large vehicle, so combine narrow paths and a very tight hairpin, and the monster truck just struggles on those little bits. But the rest of the course, of course, it's going to be pretty damn quick, and it's always good fun driving around in a great big monster truck. Up next, I've got one of the stock cars. Now, I'm not sure if these are any different performance-wise to the standard versions. I've gone for the Dominator. I just picked one at random, really. I do like the Dominator. The Dominator is a pretty damn quick car. So the standard Dominator is pretty damn fast. So I thought I'd give the stock car version a go. Now, unlike the monster truck, this is definitely not a vehicle that is designed to deal with the off-roading. You also seem very sort of short in this car. It seems very low, like the camera. I don't know. It feels like it's quite low. In the car. One thing I will say is that this instantly doesn't have as sharp brakes as the monster truck. The monster truck has got incredible braking power, and yeah, when swapping into this and then driving this and trying to brake at the same sort of point, it didn't really work. Got things a little bit wrong there. That was less than ideal. I don't know. I'm struggling with that corner in first-person view. It wasn't a massive problem in the 360 version. I was just having real issues with this particular. I guess it's just judging the braking for the corner, and now we've managed to plumb it off the course yet again. It's not quite so good at recovering itself onto the course as the monster truck. It's not particularly surprising considering this is a rear-wheel drive muscle car compared to a big off-roading truck. Another problem area for the Dominator would be the first of the jumps, and I'm not sure why. I don't think I've ever had a car do a front flip off that jump before. Just ended up out a little bit wide and plummeted over it and bounced the front off the ground, and we kind of flipped over. Yeah, we lost the front bumper, did a little bit of damage to the front of the vehicle. Again, coming into turn one, I got a bit carried away and braked far too late to get away with it in the Dominator, and then we twist and crash way down the mountain, get a lot of airtime. Again, the car survives pretty well on all of these early crashes. I mean, it looks like it bent up the rear of the car a bit there. Don't know, it doesn't look quite right. I couldn't decide quite what it had done there, but yeah, it looks a little bit wonky. Again, we're running out wide over there, and we've got another front flip from the Dominator. This time a perfectly landed front flip after bouncing off the road. I was quite proud of that one, to be honest. Yeah. I don't know, I've never had cars do that before. I guess it's just because the corner before that jump is now quite blind, running it in first person. I'm taking slightly different lines and I'm ending up in a bit of trouble, and that's why we've got a problem. The second jump would also cause issues for the Dominator on the landing. When we'd hit the landing there, the Dominator would get a lot of airtime. I don't know why it did, but it would do. And on this occasion, I actually managed to eventually gather it up. I'm still not sure how I did, but yeah, that second jump was causing problems. I mean, we've had a lot. When you take the really fast cars down here and you boot it over that second jump, you do occasionally get a few of them that get a little bit of airtime. but I wasn't expecting the Dominator to get as much as it did. It was one of the harder cars to get to land over the second of the jumps. Again, it wasn't too long for the Dominator. There wasn't any real sort of massive problems with this vehicle. Had to be careful through that corner there because for some reason I just kept overshooting it. But otherwise, yeah, this was a very nice car to drive. Fairly easy to drive around here. We were back to the sort of chucking it around these corners. I mean, every vehicle struggles. That hairpin is quite a ridiculous one. On this particular run, I didn't quite get it perfect. The Dominator certainly doesn't help with quite a low camera angle inside the car. You do struggle with the visibility sometimes on some of these corners. Again, just a little bit out of shape. That corner there is horrible now. I can't clip the inside because the bushes there are going to spin the car around. Again, having problems running a little bit wide. Bounced off the rocks though. No real harm was done to the car as we come towards the scary second jump. I think the Cougar may have actually saved me on that one, since I got a bit of airtime off the Cougar itself, and yeah, the landing was a little bit better, having not hit the jump quite properly. We get bounced around a little bit into the second to last corner, and then again on the exit around the final turn though, and it is across the line for the Dominator, and then we just about, there we go, much better landing for this particular car. However, I noticed something curious. The front left wheel is completely busted up on this, and I'm not sure at what point that got broken. It may have been broken when I bounced off the wall, but I'm pretty sure I would have noticed it didn't feel like it was broken after that collision. I would have thought I would have noticed it come the final few corners. I didn't really hit anything heavily sort of across the jump at the finish. I don't know when the front wheel got busted up, but the Dominator made it anyway. Our third and final vehicle today is the Dukes of Death. I very much like this car. It is a fantastic vehicle. However, I had some concerns with driving this. As you could imagine, the visibility in here is pretty damn rubbish. Yeah, you get a little slit at the front to look out of, and then half of that is covered up with a supercharger blower. Yeah, visibility is absolutely atrocious in this car. It makes for a very interesting challenge trying to drive down here, because let's face it, half of what you're doing is pure guesswork and based on your memory of this course. For example, I'm crashed here. I think I just about know where I am, but I can't really see, because out of the window all I see is sun, and out of the side windows you just got these sort of these tiny sort of grates to look through. Yeah, this is not an easy car to drive down here, and I was struggling on the early runs because this first section is incredibly narrow. You've got to be so very precise with this vehicle, and you just can't see that well out of here. As we tumble down the mountain, you can't really see an awful lot of what's going on with the car. You see a small bit of floor and then a small bit of sky, and that's about it. Again, this corner, we're coming up here, and that's the hairpin, and you just can't see it. It is a lot of, I wouldn't say a complete guesswork, but you have to know this course damn well to drive down it in this car, because you just don't get much visibility from the Dukes. I do love the scratches on it though. I mean, the car, this thing's phenomenally strong, but it gets quite a lot of scratches on it when it tumbles over the cliff. Yeah, there is a lot of sort of estimating just quite where you are on the road. This next corner would actually prove the biggest problem I had really with the Dukes. For some reason I just couldn't quite get that corner right. I don't think I've ever rolled a vehicle in that particular place. I just kept misjudging it. I think I ended up on my roof sort of 3 or 4 times there, just completely misjudging the corner. And yeah, we're slightly upside down at that point. It was quite a pain in this vehicle. It was certainly interesting. It was certainly a good fun challenge. We're taking the bit of the jump, and now we're just looking at the sky. It looks like from here it doesn't look particularly dramatic at all. But from from first person, it looks very dramatic. It looks like you're sort of teetering on the edge. It's just absolutely no visibility in the Dukes. Good for stopping bullets, bad for just about everything else. Amazingly, I managed to position it perfectly and find the escape road. Got a tiny clip on the inside of the hill, and we're off again over the rock at the second to last corner, and eventually come to rest by, well, in a tree slightly. It took a while getting used to this car. I have to say it was one of the hardest vehicles I've had to drive down here. We dipped a wheel over the edge at the start, and again we go plummeting down the mountainside. There's some floor. Again, I'm certainly finding that these vehicles are a lot easier to get back under control when you sort of start sliding down the mountain. Definitely think the brakes are a little bit on the stronger front. This next one, I just completely misjudged the rock on the inside. As said, I've hit that one a few times before. Amazingly, I land it perfectly in exactly the right place so we can carry on. I've hit that rock a few times with cars before. That I just didn't see it at all. Misjudged where it was and gave it a big smack, and did a pretty. I'm pretty pleased with the barrel roll that I got out of it. Again, I just completely misjudging the corner on that one, thinking the corner was in a slightly different place, and we're on our roof in exactly the same area. Yeah, it's really weird trying to drive this car down this particular course. It makes for an interesting experience, but it is certainly damn tricky. As you can imagine, yeah, this one took a while to get the hang of. I mean, the car itself, it deals with the course okay. I think the performance is very similar to the normal Dukes, except for on, well, the big problem is on the seriously steep downhill bits. You really struggle to see, and I mean, this is a predominantly downhill course, so there are a couple of places where you're just, well, most of the corners, in fact, you're just turning into completely blind here. You're hoping that the corner goes where you expect it to, and then then things are okay. I mean, you just have to brake and hope that you're going to have braked enough for this. Coming out of this hairpin, you just can't see where to aim for. It's some guesswork. I actually get around the hairpin very nicely on this particular run. This next corner, again, is another nasty one. It's not a great visibility corner down there at the best of times, let alone in this. We're crashing around. Again, got to be careful on this one. Make sure it's turning a little bit earlier than I was before. And again, getting it much better through there this time. Almost run a little bit wide through there. Take the jump, and a hiker gets the surprise of a flying Dukes. Only a few more corners to go. Again, another completely blind corner in most vehicles. So yeah, it's even worse in this. We do seem to be okay on the landing. Didn't have problems with this kind of getting pinged up into the air like we did with the Dominator on any of the jumps. Perhaps this is a little bit heavier with all the armor. I'm not entirely sure. We run a little bit wide into the second to last corner. We get a big big slide being thrown around a little bit on the exit of that corner, and it is across the line in the Dukes of Death that we bounce off a tree. Oh, there's some sky and some trees, and we're in a ditch to finish it off. Pretty sure there's the same ditch we ended up with the standard Dukes in. Yeah, it is a real challenge driving this. Driving this anywhere in first person is hard enough, but trying to drive it down such a narrow mountain road with practically zero visibility is not ideal. The blood spatter on the front of it does suit the car though, and I will say that. And we did get down the course without too many issues on that final run. But yeah, a lot of it is you just have to know the course incredibly well to make it work. Anyway, on to the times, and the Stallion has remained fastest. The Marshall and the Dominator stock car don't go quicker. I was surprised actually. I thought the monster truck was going to set a very quick time, but no, we lost a little bit, especially on the first corner. I think with that it struggles. Yeah, the Stallion has had a fairly decent benchmark there. The Dominator, it was a good car. Again, I thought that was going pretty quickly. Not a bad time from it particularly. Yeah, it bounces up over the jumps. It doesn't like them. For whatever reason, and the Dukes of Death is at the bottom, but it's less than 2 seconds off the normal Dukes, and considering the fact that you can see very little out of the front of the car, I'd say that's not too bad a time for that particular vehicle. Anyway, that is it for today, so I thank you very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.